The observation deck of the Twilight Meridian hummed with a low thrum of recycled air, but Alina Voss barely noticed. Her attention was fixed on the viewport, where the amber glow of the dying star painted streaks across the reinforced glass. Somewhere beyond that celestial fire, the war still raged, humanity's stubborn defiance against the Dominion's iron grip. But here, in this forgotten corner of space, aboard a salvaged Dominion cruiser, Alina had found something the war had nearly stolen from her: purpose. The ship wasn't hers by right. She'd claimed it after the Battle of Kepler's Rim, when the Dominion forces retreated and left their wounded behind. Among the debris and the dying, she'd found them the Vraxel Pack, 8 predators, each standing over 7 feet tall, covered in obsidian scales that caught the light like oil on water. Their kind had terrorized human colonies for decades, efficient killers bred for conquest. The Dominion called them their perfect soldiers. But perfection, Alina had learned, could bleed. She'd found them huddled in the cargo bay, their pack leader dead, their supplies gone. By all military protocol, she should have left them. By every instinct honed through 3 years of war, she should have feared them. Instead, she'd seen their eyes golden slitted and filled with something she recognized: desperation. Now, 6 months later, those same eyes watched her from across the mess hall with a mixture of respect and confusion that never quite faded. Voss. The voice rumbled like distant thunder. Kethra, the pack's interim alpha, approached with the careful grace all Vraxel possessed. The cub refuses sustenance again. Alina set down her ration pack. A nod, the gesture still stiff and unfamiliar. The Vraxel didn't nod, naturally they'd learned it from her. She found him in the lower quarters, curled into a corner that was somehow both too large and too small for his growing frame. Serak was barely 6 cycles old, equivalent to a human child of 8 or 9. His scales hadn't yet darkened to full obsidian. They still held traces of the deep blue that marked Vraxel youth. He didn't look up when Alina approached. "Not hungry?" she asked, settling onto the floor beside him. The metal was cold through her jumpsuit, but she'd learned that Vraxel preferred the chill. Serak's tail twitched. "The food is adequate, but you're not eating it." Silence. Then, so quietly she almost missed it, "I dreamed of the home world again." Alina's chest tightened. She knew those dreams. Every soldier did the phantom memories of places you could never return to, people you'd never see again. The Vraxel homeworld was ash now, consumed in the Dominion's scorched earth retreat. The pack didn't speak of it, but she'd seen the way they turned from the viewports when certain star configurations appeared. "Tell me about it," she said. Serek's head snapped toward, her eyes wide. "Why?" "Because dreams are lighter when you share them." It was something her grandmother used to say. Back on Earth, before the colonies, before the war. Alina hadn't thought of those words in years. The cub studied her with an intensity that would have been unnerving from an adult Vraxel. Then, slowly, he began to speak. His words painted pictures of crimson skies and crystal forests, of hunting grounds where his pack had run before the Dominion came, before they'd been conscripted, before they'd become weapons. Alina listened, and when his voice cracked, she didn't look away. That night, the screaming started. Alina jerked awake to the sound of Serek's cries echoing through the ship's corridors. She ran barefoot to the lower quarters, expecting injury, expecting attack. What she found was, worse, the cub thrashing in his sleep, claws scoring marks in the metal floor, his screams a mixture of words she couldn't understand, and terror she could. The other Vraxel stood in the doorway, frozen. Their kind didn't comfort. Weakness was culled from the pack. But Alina wasn't Vraxel. She knelt beside Serak and did something her tactical training screamed against. She reached out and touched him. Her hand found his shoulder, and she began to hum. It wasn't a song, not really. Just a melody her grandmother had hummed during thunderstorms, when Alina was small and afraid of the dark. Serek's thrashing slowed. Alina kept humming, low and steady, a sound that seemed to fill the spaces between his cries. She added words, nonsense mostly, the kind of soothing murmurs that carried meaning in tone rather than content, the language of comfort that transcended species. One by one, the other Vraxel entered the room. Kethra first, then the others, drawn by something they'd never experienced, someone caring for their pain rather than exploiting it. They settled onto the floor, these apex predators, these perfect soldiers. And they listened. Elena's voice wove through the room, soft and persistent. She spoke of Earth's oceans, of rain on leaves, of the small moments of peace she'd hoarded like treasure through the war. She spoke until Serek's breathing evened, until his claws retracted, until his eyes closed in genuine sleep. She kept speaking until she noticed Kethra's eyes had closed too, until the whole pack lay scattered across the floor, their massive forms relaxed in a way she'd never seen before. Somewhere in her murmuring, in the gentle cadence of human compassion, she'd given them permission to let down their guard. When morning came, what passed for morning in the artificial cycles of the ship Alina, woke to find herself surrounded by sleeping Axel. Serak was curled against her side, his scales warm from her body heat. Kethra's eyes opened first. For a long moment, the Alpha simply watched her, those golden eyes unreadable. Then, in a voice rough with disuse and something that might have been wonder, she said, "Your kind breaks every law of nature. You should fear us. We are predators." Alina looked at Serak, still peacefully asleep. "So are we," she said quietly. "We're just predators who learn that the strongest packs protect their young." She shifted carefully, not wanting to wake the cub. "And maybe that's what makes us dangerous. Not our weapons or our ships or our tactics. The fact that we'll care for you even when it makes no strategic sense. Even when you're supposed to be the enemy." Kethra was silent for a long time. Then, the Dominion chose the wrong species to break. "They always do," Alina agreed. Outside the viewport, the stars wheeled on in their eternal dance, and aboard the Twilight Meridian, a human and a pack of predators slept together. Safe, and for the first time in too long, at peace.